If you don't change your thinking, your life won't change either. That's the truth. And most people never hear it straight. They want more, but their thoughts are still stuck in fear, doubt, and survival. That's why they work hard, but still feel empty. That's why they try again and again, but always end up back where they started. See, developing an abundance mindset is not just about thinking positive. It's about building a stronger way of thinking, one that supports your future, not your past. You've got to stop thinking there's never enough. Not enough time, not enough chances, not enough success for you. That kind of thinking will block every opportunity. But when you start changing the way you think, your energy changes, your habits change, and your results begin to shift. In this video, I'm going to show you how to reset your thinking and create a mindset that finally works in your favor. This is where change begins. Watch closely. Number one, challenge every thought that makes you feel limited. That's where real change begins. Most people never pause to examine their thinking. They wake up, go through the motions, and live their days reacting to what happens around them. But nothing around you is stronger than what's happening inside your mind. If you believe you can't do something, you won't. If you believe you're not good enough, your actions will match that belief. And if you keep repeating the same old thoughts, you'll keep living the same old life. The first thing to understand is this: your thoughts are not facts, they're habits. Most of the thoughts you have were built years ago by parents, teachers, mistakes, failures, and fears. You didn't choose many of them, you inherited them, you accepted them. And now they control you in ways you don't even notice. That's why the first step to an abundance mindset isn't about money or opportunities. It's about learning to challenge what you believe about yourself every single day. You can't live a rich life if you think like someone who's poor inside. You can't grow if your thinking keeps shrinking. You have to become aware of those quiet thoughts that keep whispering, "You can't do it. You're too late. You're not smart enough. You're not from the right background." If you don't call them out, they'll run your life from the inside out. So how do you challenge them? Start by asking, is this thought helping me or holding me back? You'll be surprised how many things you've been saying to yourself that have never once helped you improve. That voice that says you're too far behind, has it ever moved you forward? That voice that says you're not ready, has it ever made you stronger? If it hasn't, why do you keep listening to it? Start replacing it with new thoughts that support your growth. Thoughts like, I'm learning, I'm improving, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm on the way. That shift alone can change the direction of your entire life. And don't just think differently, speak differently too. What you say out loud becomes what you believe deep down. People who live with an abundance mindset speak with strength, not excuses. They speak with direction, not confusion. They speak with vision, not fear. When you talk about your goals, say it with certainty, not doubt. Say, I'm working on building a strong career, not, I hope something works out. Words matter. They shape how you feel, how you act, and what you attract. Another thing to pay attention to is the environment you're in. Sometimes the limited thinking doesn't even come from you. It comes from the people around you. If you keep spending time with people who see everything as impossible, who complain every day, who look for reasons why things won't work, you will absorb that thinking. It will become normal. It will feel safe. But safe thinking doesn't build an abundant life. You need to be around people who make you think bigger, speak clearer, and act braver. People who expect progress. People who take responsibility. People who don't hide behind excuses. If you don't have people like that in your life, become that person for yourself. Read books that stretch your mind. Watch content that reminds you what's possible. Challenge yourself to step beyond the mental environment you were raised in. See, the world won't hand you a better life. You have to build it. And that starts by deciding you're no longer going to stay a prisoner to small thinking. Every time you feel like backing down, remind yourself, the future depends on what you believe right now, not what happened last year, not what your friends think, what you believe today. That's power. That's personal power. That's what gives you control over your direction, no matter where you started. And don't expect the process to be easy. Your mind will fight you. Your emotions will resist. It will feel uncomfortable, but that's a good sign. It means you're stepping into a space that you've never occupied before. Growth never feels smooth at the beginning. It's messy. You doubt yourself. You hesitate. You want to quit. But if you keep pushing, if you keep choosing thoughts that give you strength instead of fear, clarity instead of confusion, then you begin to transform. Start being honest with yourself. Ask, what thoughts have kept me stuck? Then write them down, look at them, face them, call them out, and say, this doesn't serve me anymore. That's where personal growth starts. It doesn't begin with motivation, it begins with awareness. You can't fix what you won't face. You can't build if you're still hiding from your foundation. Once you start cleaning out those limiting thoughts, you create space for something new. You begin to see options where you used to see dead ends. You start noticing people, books, ideas, and opportunities that match your new mindset. That's not magic. That's focus. When your thoughts are aligned with your goals, your actions follow. Your confidence increases. You stop waiting and you start moving. You'll notice something else too. Your energy changes. The way you walk, the way you speak, the way you respond, it all shifts. You don't shrink anymore when challenges show up. You don't settle just because something is safe. You start expecting more. You start giving more. You stop seeing abundance as something far away and start recognizing it as something you can build right now. Starting with the way you think. So take this seriously. Don't live another year listening to the same weak beliefs that held you back last year. Change starts in the mind. Not with money, not with luck, not with someone giving you a chance. It starts when you say, I'm done thinking like this. You challenge the thought, you replace it, and you follow it up with action. Do that consistently, and your whole life will begin to shift. You're not stuck because of your situation. You're stuck because of what you believe about your situation. And that can be changed. That must be changed. The life you want will not be built on thoughts that tell you it's impossible. The life you want will be built on thoughts that remind you that you're capable, that you're worthy, and that you have work to do. You don't need permission. You need discipline. You need direction. And you need to challenge anything in your mind that tries to keep you small. That's how people change. That's how abundance begins. That's how strong minds are built. One thought at a time, one decision at a time, one step at a time. Keep going, keep growing, and don't stop until your mindset reflects the life you want to live. Number 2, control your mood before it controls your choices. That truth is sharper than most people realize. Your mood is the filter that determines how you see the world. If your mood is low, everything looks difficult. If your mood is angry, every comment feels like an attack. If your mood is anxious, every task feels overwhelming. And if your mood is lazy, even simple responsibilities feel like a burden. When you don't take charge of your mood, you start reacting in ways that make your life harder without even noticing. Most people blame their mood on outside events. They say, I'm in a bad mood because someone upset me. Or, I don't feel good today because things didn't go my way. That mindset gives your power away. It puts your emotions in the hands of random situations. But once you understand that your mood is something you can control, not something you have to surrender to, you start living with more strength, more purpose, and more clarity. A lot of people make choices they regret, not because they're bad people, but because they made those choices in a bad emotional state. They yelled, when they could have stayed calm. They quit when they could have pushed forward. They avoided a conversation they should have had. They bought something they didn't need. They said something they didn't mean. And later, when their mood was stable again, they looked back and felt confused. That's what happens when your emotions decide your behavior. You give away your self-control. You let a passing feeling shape permanent outcomes. The key is to slow yourself down. The moment you feel your mood shifting, pause. Ask yourself, is this feeling helping me make the right decision? That one question can save you days, weeks, and even years of regret. Because moods are temporary, but decisions often aren't. When you control your mood, you give yourself space to make choices from logic, not from emotional pressure. Controlling your mood doesn't mean you never feel anger, frustration, sadness, or stress. It means you notice those emotions when they show up, and you don't hand them the steering wheel. You feel them, but you don't follow them. You observe them, but you don't obey them. That's emotional maturity. That's self-leadership. And it's what separates those who grow from those who repeat the same cycle over and over again. Sometimes the best thing you can do is stop and get quiet. If you're feeling overwhelmed, take a walk. If you're frustrated, breathe before you speak. If you're confused, write down what you're thinking. Most people rush through their emotions and try to push through them. That's how they end up reacting instead of responding. But slowing down gives your mind room to catch up with your actions. It allows you to respond with purpose instead of reacting with pain. You also have to be aware of your emotional triggers. There are certain situations, people, or environments that pull you into a bad mood quickly. Recognize them, don't ignore them, prepare for them. If you know you get defensive when someone questions your decisions, train yourself to respond calmly instead of shutting down. If you know your energy drops every time you scroll social media, put limits on your screen time. If you know loud or messy environments stress you out, find ways to ground yourself when things feel chaotic. Awareness is the first step. Preparation is the second. Consistency is the third. One of the most powerful tools to manage your mood is your routine. Your habits influence how you feel before the day even begins. If you wake up late, rush through your morning, skip meals, and check your phone before you've even taken a deep breath, your mood will be chaotic. You'll be chasing your emotions all day instead of leading them. But if you start your day with structure, clarity, and calm, you create a baseline of control. A simple routine, like getting up at a set time, staying off your phone for the first hour, eating something healthy, and moving your body, can stabilize your emotions more than motivation ever will. Another thing to watch closely is your language. The words you use in your self-talk can either calm your mood or intensify it. If you keep saying things like, "I can't handle this," "this is too much," or "nothing ever works out," your brain will believe it, and your mood will spiral. But if you shift to statements like, "I'll figure this out," "this feeling will pass," or "I've handled worse before," you start to gain control again. You start rewiring your emotional patterns instead of recycling the same ones. There's also real power in physical movement. Your body and your emotions are deeply connected. If you sit still in a slouched position all day, your energy and mood will match that. But when you move, walk, stretch, exercise, breathe deeply, you change your chemistry. You activate focus. You release tension. You reset your mind. Don't underestimate how much your body influences your mindset. Sometimes the fastest way to fix your mood is to change your posture and get moving. You need to hold yourself accountable too. If you act poorly because of your mood, own it. Don't make excuses. Don't blame the day or the weather or someone else's tone. Say, "I wasn't at my best and I'll do better next time." That kind of honesty keeps your emotions in check. It keeps your ego from running wild, and it teaches you that responsibility feels better than avoidance. And one of the hardest lessons is this: nobody owes you a good mood. Nobody has to talk to you a certain way. Nobody has to adjust themselves so you don't feel triggered. That's your job. If you expect the world to behave in a way that keeps you comfortable, you will always be frustrated. But when you decide that your emotional state is your responsibility, you take your power back. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need personal discipline. Over time, you'll start noticing that the things that used to throw you off no longer do. You won't get stuck in every disagreement. You won't lose your drive because one plan didn't work out. You won't shut down every time someone disrespects you. Instead, you'll breathe, you'll think, you'll choose your next move. That kind of emotional control gives you freedom. It lets you act with strength, even when everything around you feels uncertain. You don't have to be ruled by your first feeling. You don't have to respond to everything right away. You don't have to collapse every time pressure shows up. You can train your mind to slow down. You can train your body to reset. You can train your words to calm, not escalate. And you can train your choices to reflect who you want to become, not who your worst mood wants you to be. This is how real growth happens. Not just by thinking positive, but by acting with discipline when your mood tries to pull you away from your values. Not just by staying busy, but by making sure your emotions don't ruin the progress your actions are building. When you control your mood, you build consistency. And with consistency comes confidence. That's how powerful people are built. Not because they never feel weak, but because they refuse to let emotions run their lives. Be one of those people. Build the kind of inner strength that doesn't depend on circumstances. Wake up and take control of your mood before your mood takes control of everything that matters to you. Number 3, fix the way you respond to other people's success. That one change can tell you more about your mindset than any book or course ever will. How you feel when someone else wins says everything about what you believe is possible for you. When someone gets a promotion, launches a business, buys a house, gets fit, earns more, lives freer, how do you respond? If your first reaction is frustration, jealousy, anger, or judgment, then you are quietly feeding a belief that their success somehow takes away from yours. But here's the truth. It doesn't. Their win doesn't make your future smaller. Their growth doesn't push you back. Their breakthrough has nothing to do with your limitations. But if your mind is trained to compare, you'll turn someone else's progress into your personal insecurity. When you see someone doing better than you, your reaction comes from the story you're telling yourself. If that story is built on scarcity, if it's built on the belief that there's not enough success to go around, you will always feel behind. You will always feel overlooked. You will always feel like life is and you'll begin to resent people who should actually be inspiring you. That resentment will cloud your focus, poison your motivation, and turn your potential into bitterness. But there's another way to live. You can choose to study people instead of envying them. You can choose to celebrate growth instead of attacking it. You can say, what can I learn from that? Instead of saying, why not me? The truth is, your reaction to other people's success is a mirror. It shows what kind of thinking you've been feeding. If you're always uncomfortable with others winning, it might be because you haven't allowed yourself to win. If you downplay other people's accomplishments, it might be because you haven't fully accepted that you're capable of your own. And the problem with reacting poorly to success is that you train your mind to associate growth with pain. So every time you think about leveling up, your subconscious goes back to that old discomfort, that old comparison, and that fear of being left behind. That cycle repeats itself until you believe you're safer staying the same. But you're not. You're only safe when you grow. You're only secure when you stretch. You're only at peace when you stop seeing success as competition and start seeing it as confirmation. If someone else made it, that means it's possible. If they figured it out, that means it's learnable. If they changed their life, then so can you. That doesn't mean copy them. That doesn't mean follow their exact path. It means stop attacking the very thing you say you want. Don't speak badly about people who are doing well. Don't criticize what you don't understand. Don't call it luck when it took discipline. Don't roll your eyes when it took years. You can't grow while disrespecting growth. You can't move up if you're busy pulling others down. A lot of people say they want success, but they can't handle seeing it in someone else. That mindset is dangerous. Because the moment you become uncomfortable around winners, you push yourself further into isolation, and growth doesn't happen in isolation. Growth happens when you're exposed to new standards, new thinking, and new behaviors. But if your response to success is negative, you'll avoid those environments. You'll surround yourself with people who are just as stuck, just as average, just as bitter, and you'll call that comfort. But it's not comfort, it's a trap. You need to train your emotions to see success differently. When you feel jealousy rise, don't hide it. Don't suppress it. Just name it. Say, that's envy showing up because I haven't done the work yet. That kind of honesty doesn't make you weak, it makes you powerful, because now you can do something about it. You can turn that feeling into fuel. You can turn that discomfort into drive. But if you ignore it, it will grow in silence. And silent envy turns into loud excuses. Start making it a habit to celebrate people, even if you're not there yet. Clap for them when they win. Speak well of them even when no one's watching. Admire what they've built without feeling bad about what you haven't. That energy creates space for you to grow. It keeps your heart clean. It keeps your focus sharp. And it reminds your brain that success isn't the enemy, it's the example. And here's another truth. You don't know the full story behind someone's win. You don't know the pain, the discipline, the nights they wanted to quit, the sacrifices they made when no one noticed. So don't reduce their success to luck. Don't assume it was handed to them, even if it looks easy from the outside. Respect what you don't understand, because the more you respect the journey, the more prepared you'll be when it's your turn. Your response to someone else's success also affects your energy. When you live in envy, you operate from lack. You're always watching what others have instead of building your own. That weakens your drive. It blurs your direction. It turns your journey into a reaction instead of a mission. But when you learn to stay focused on your own lane, when you stay locked in on your own habits, goals, and progress, you take back your power. You stop counting other people's blessings and start multiplying your own. And don't just admire people who are far ahead. Pay attention to those just 1 or 2 steps ahead of you. They're close enough to relate to, but far enough to show you what's possible. Watch how they move. Study how they think. See what they prioritize. Take notes. Ask questions. Stay curious. That kind of mindset turns comparison into education. It turns insecurity into strategy. It shifts your attention from why not me to how can I improve. Remember this too, your time is coming, but it won't come if you waste it staring at someone else's moment. Your future requires your full attention. Your next level depends on your daily discipline, and your growth demands your emotional maturity. So the next time you feel that uncomfortable emotion when someone else wins, turn it into a decision. Decide to build your own. Decide to get back to work. Decide to raise your standards instead of lowering your spirit. Every person you admire once felt behind. Every person you look up to once questioned their potential. The difference is they kept going. They stayed focused. They trained their mind to celebrate instead of compete. And because of that, they grew. You can too, but only if you stop feeding thoughts that shrink your spirit. Fixing your response to other people's success is not about pretending to be happy. It's about building real belief in your own future. It's about being strong enough to say, good for them. Now it's my turn to level up. That mindset builds confidence. That mindset creates momentum. That mindset keeps you moving forward even when it feels slow. And above all, remember this. Someone else's success is not your failure. It's not a threat. It's not a reminder that you're behind. It's proof that growth is real. And that proof should light a fire in you, not shut you down. Use it. Use it to sharpen your habits. Use it to upgrade your goals. Use it to remind yourself what's possible when you stop reacting with envy and start living with discipline. That's how you win. That's how you build. That's how you earn success that feels right, not just on the outside, but in your heart, your mind, and your daily life. Number 4, upgrade your thinking before chasing bigger results. That's the step most people skip, and it's why so many feel stuck. They want more money, more growth, more success, more freedom, but they try to get it with the same mindset that's been keeping them where they are. Bigger results don't come from luck. They don't come from wishes. They come from better thinking, clearer thinking, stronger thinking. And until that thinking changes, your outcomes will keep repeating. You can switch goals, change jobs, move cities, start over. But if you bring the same mind with you, you'll just rebuild the same problems in a new place. The truth is, your life reflects your thoughts. If your mind is filled with doubt, you'll hesitate. If your mind is filled with blame, you'll stay stuck. If your mind is filled with fear, you'll settle. You can only go as far as your beliefs allow, and if those beliefs are limited, your results will be too. So before you ask for more, ask yourself if your thinking is ready to handle more. If your thinking is weak, more pressure will crush you. More responsibility will overwhelm you. More opportunity will confuse you. That's why upgrading your mindset isn't optional, it's necessary. Most people think results come first and mindset comes after, but it's the other way around. You don't think better because you're successful. You become successful because you think better. You stop waiting for someone to give you permission. You stop waiting for motivation to strike. You stop looking for shortcuts. You start taking ownership. You start thinking about what you're doing wrong instead of what life is doing to you. You stop repeating the same mistakes and start learning from them. That's a mental upgrade, and that mental upgrade is what builds long-term success. You have to think beyond your habits, beyond your background, beyond your current circle. You have to stop letting your old identity make new decisions. If your thinking is shaped by who you used to be, your results will reflect that version of you. But you're not that person anymore. You're here because you want more, and wanting more means thinking more clearly, more honestly, and more intentionally. A better mindset questions everything. It doesn't just react. It studies, it observes, it looks for patterns, it asks, why do I keep ending up in the same place? And then it listens. Most people don't listen to their own thinking. They assume it's right because it's theirs. But just because a thought is familiar doesn't mean it's true. Just because you've believed something for 10 years doesn't mean it's serving you today. If you want better outcomes, you have to stop protecting beliefs that no longer help you grow. There's a difference between working hard and thinking smart. You can be busy all day and still be moving in circles. If your decisions are built on weak logic, no amount of hustle will fix that. Strategy matters. Self-awareness matters. Clarity matters. You can't chase growth while thinking like a victim. You can't ask for results while avoiding responsibility. You can't reach the next level while thinking like someone who's still afraid of change. And this is where many people get stuck. They believe they need a new opportunity, but what they really need is a new perspective. They think they need more tools, more resources, more connections. But what they really need is to think differently about the tools they already have. More is not the answer if your thinking is still based on fear, doubt, or blame. More will just expose the weakness faster. Strong results require a strong mental foundation. You need to be able to handle failure without collapsing, handle stress without exploding, handle feedback without getting defensive, handle delay without quitting. Those are not external skills, they're mental ones. And if your mind isn't ready, your life will reject the very opportunities you say you want. Start paying attention to how you think when things get hard. Do you immediately look for someone to blame? Do you start making excuses? Do you shut down and wait for something to change? That's the kind of thinking that guarantees you'll stay stuck. But if you face the challenge and ask, what can I learn from this? Or how can I grow from this? Or what's my role in this problem? Now your thinking is aligned with progress. The way you speak also reveals your mindset. If your language is filled with complaints, you're programming yourself to stay powerless. If you're always talking about how tired, unlucky, or overwhelmed you are, your brain starts accepting that as your normal state. But if you shift your words to focus on action, effort, and solutions, your brain responds with new energy. It's not magic, it's focus. You're teaching yourself to stop thinking like someone who waits and start thinking like someone who creates. Upgrading your thinking also means setting higher standards. You don't accept excuses from yourself. You stop tolerating distractions. You stop explaining your limitations. You start demanding consistency. You start living in alignment with your goals instead of just talking about them. And when things don't go your way, you don't collapse. You adjust. You stay steady. You stay focused. You stay responsible. That's the mental toughness that builds real results. And don't expect the process to be smooth. Growth isn't comfortable. When you start challenging your old beliefs, it feels like something is breaking inside you. That's normal. That's necessary. The old version of you is being replaced, and that replacement hurts. You'll feel resistance. You'll feel doubt. You'll want to fall back into the old patterns. But if you keep choosing better thoughts, thoughts that support your goals, thoughts that match your values, you'll build the mental strength to handle anything. One of the most important upgrades you can make is learning to think long-term. Short-term thinking chases comfort. Long-term thinking builds character. Short-term thinking wants fast results. Long-term thinking builds habits. Short-term thinking gets emotional. Long-term thinking stays focused. The people who win over time are not the ones who move the fastest. They're the ones who think clearly through every stage. They're the ones who don't let setbacks stop them. They're the ones who don't lose themselves when pressure shows up. Your mind is your greatest tool, but it can also be your greatest enemy if you don't train it, if you don't challenge it, if you don't clean it up. You can't get to the next level with thoughts that belong to your past. You need better questions, better decisions, better mental discipline. You need to think like someone who's already living the life you want and act from that place, not from fear. You don't need permission to upgrade your thinking. You don't need to wait until you feel ready. You start now. You start by catching the thoughts that make you small. You start by replacing them with thoughts that push you forward. You start by being honest about how your mindset has held you back. And then you choose every day to feed the thoughts that build, not break. That's the shift. That's the work. That's the real path to bigger results. Not chasing more, but becoming more, mentally, emotionally, and behaviorally. Once that change is made, the results come. They follow strong thinking. They follow disciplined minds. They follow people who don't just want more, but think in a way that proves they're ready for it. Be that person. Think better, live better, and keep upgrading until your results finally match the strength of your new mindset. Number 5, force yourself to stop thinking like your old self. If you don't, nothing will ever change. You'll go through new days with the same attitude. You'll start new plans with the same doubts. You'll chase new goals with the same fears. And that means no matter how many times you say you want to change, you'll keep repeating the same cycle. The reason people stay stuck isn't always because they lack information. Most people know what to do. The real problem is they keep bringing their old identity into new situations. They think they can build a better life without changing how they think about who they are. But the person you used to be can't carry you into the life you want. The thoughts that once felt normal have to be confronted. The beliefs that made sense before have to be replaced. The story you've been telling yourself about what you can and can't do, that story has to end. Your old self was built by old habits. Habits of thinking, reacting, avoiding, blaming, waiting. Those patterns were comfortable, and comfort is dangerous. It keeps you loyal to your limits. You start to protect those old thoughts as if they're facts, but they're not. They're just rehearsed opinions. They were shaped by survival, not success. Maybe they helped you make sense of your struggles, but they won't help you grow. So now you have to make a choice. You either stay loyal to who you used to be, or you force yourself to start thinking like someone who's ready to become more. This takes effort. It won't feel natural at first. You'll feel like you're pretending. You'll feel resistance. Your mind will pull you back toward old thinking because it's familiar. But just because it's familiar doesn't mean it's right. You have to interrupt that pattern. When your mind starts doubting, stop and say, "That's the old version of me talking." When your thinking goes back to fear, stop and say, "That's no longer who I am." You have to call it out. You have to be deliberate. You have to choose better thoughts, even when they feel uncomfortable, even when you don't believe them yet. You act on them anyway, because belief grows through repetition. The same way your old thoughts became automatic is the same way your new thoughts will become strong. You repeat them, you live them, and you defend them. Your old self is always going to try to stay in control. It's going to remind you of your mistakes. It's going to tell you that you failed before. It's going to list all the reasons why things probably won't work out this time either. That voice will sound logical. It will sound safe, but its only goal is to keep you from changing. You have to realize that your new life will cost you your old mindset. That means you have to stop entertaining thoughts that keep you small. You stop feeding beliefs that drain your energy. You stop thinking like someone who's waiting for things to get easier. You start thinking like someone who's willing to get stronger. The truth is, growth begins when you no longer trust every thought you have, when you question your reactions, when you challenge your beliefs, when you refuse to let old emotions decide what's possible for you now. Your old self might have settled. Your old self might have avoided hard conversations. Your old self might have given up too early. But that's not who you are now, unless you choose to be. You have to fight for the future version of yourself. You have to show up for that person today, not someday. That means thinking with clarity, thinking with discipline, thinking like someone who's in control of where they're going. You can't wait for your mind to change on its own. It won't. You have to force it. You have to sit down and ask yourself, what have I been thinking that keeps holding me back? Then get honest. Don't sugarcoat it. Write it down, face it, and then ask, what would the next version of me think instead? You create a new pattern by practicing new thoughts. When the old thoughts show up, you replace them again and again until they no longer feel like the truth. You can't afford to protect thoughts that don't protect your goals. That means when the voice in your head says, you've failed too many times, you respond with, I've learned more than most people ever will. When it says you're not ready, you say, I'm getting better every day. When it says you're not good enough, you say, I don't need to be perfect, I need to keep going. This is how you take control of your mind, not with fantasy, but with responsibility. It also means watching what you allow into your mental space, what you read, who you listen to, what you repeat in your mind. It all shapes how you think. If you keep feeding your mind the same content, the same low expectations, the same weak ideas, don't be surprised when your life mirrors that. If you want to think differently, you need new input. Start listening to people who push you. Start reading things that stretch your imagination. Start surrounding yourself with people who make you raise your standards. If your environment doesn't challenge you, it's keeping you comfortable, and comfort won't help you become who you're meant to be. Old thinking makes everything feel harder than it really is. It complicates simple tasks. It finds reasons to wait. It keeps asking for permission. But when you think like your future self, your questions change. You stop asking, can I do this? And start asking, what will it take? You stop looking for someone to agree with you and start agreeing with yourself. That shift in thinking creates momentum. It keeps you focused on the next step instead of the next excuse. You don't have to be perfect to think differently. You just have to be committed. Committed to catching your old patterns. Committed to speaking better to yourself. Committed to acting from vision, not fear. Committed to doing what's right, not what's easy. That kind of thinking doesn't come naturally. It's built, it's earned, it's chosen every single day. And the moment you slip back into old thinking, recognize it and stop it immediately. Don't make excuses. Don't say, it's just how I am. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are what you decide to become next. You are what you choose to believe right now. Every day you wake up is a new chance to leave your old thinking behind. But no one can do that work for you. You have to be the one who says, enough. That mindset no longer serves me. I'm done living in that cycle. When you force yourself to stop thinking like your old self, something incredible happens. You start making decisions with power. You stop hiding. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You stop shrinking yourself just to keep things safe. You rise, you build, you move, and the world responds differently to you, not because it changed, but because your thinking did. Your life is a mirror of your thoughts. Change the thoughts, and the reflection changes too. That's the beginning of real transformation. Not in your surroundings, but in your mind. That's where the real work lives, and that's where the future you've been waiting for finally starts. Number 6. Stop tying your self-worth to what you earn. If you don't separate those two things, you'll never feel good enough. You'll live in constant comparison. You'll measure your value by a number, and when that number drops, so will your confidence. It's a trap that millions fall into without even realizing it. You start thinking that your income defines your importance. You start treating yourself better only when your bank account grows. And when things slow down or go wrong, your sense of self crumbles. That's not growth, that's dependence. That's insecurity dressed up as ambition. Your worth is not found in a paycheck. It's found in how you carry yourself when no one is watching. It's found in how you treat people who can't offer you anything. It's in your discipline, your honesty, your values, and your ability to keep moving forward when things feel heavy. Money is a tool, a powerful one, yes, but it's not a reflection of your soul. It doesn't measure your heart. It doesn't speak for your discipline. It doesn't show how far you've come internally. It just measures what the world has paid you so far, not who you truly are or what you're truly capable of becoming. People chase money thinking it will fix how they feel about themselves, but no amount of money can heal a weak identity. If you don't respect yourself at 0, you won't respect yourself at 100,000. If you hate who you are when you're broke, success will only cover the cracks. It won't repair them. This is why some people reach their financial goals and still feel empty. They realize the external achievement didn't fill the internal hole. Because money might buy you options, but it will never give you peace if you've tied your identity to it. You have to learn to see yourself as valuable before the world agrees. You have to believe in your potential when no one is clapping. That kind of belief can't come from a direct deposit. It has to come from within. It comes from showing up for yourself, from building discipline, from staying true to your word. It comes from facing discomfort without quitting. That's what builds self-respect. And when self-respect is strong, you stop needing validation from numbers. You stop needing status to feel seen. There's nothing wrong with earning money, but there is something wrong with letting it decide how you feel about yourself. If you only feel proud when you're doing well financially, you've made success your master. That means your confidence isn't stable. It rises and falls with your income. And that's a dangerous way to live. Because life has seasons. Business has seasons. Some seasons are up and some are down. If your identity is built on results alone, you'll collapse every time the numbers dip. But if your identity is built on character, you'll stay grounded no matter what. You also have to stop comparing your financial progress to someone else's. Everyone has a different starting point. Everyone has different responsibilities, experiences, and decisions behind the scenes. What looks like fast success could be 10 years of quiet sacrifice. What looks like wealth could be debt. What looks like comfort could be pressure you don't even see. So don't build your worth based on someone else's highlight reel. Build it based on your daily effort, your growth, your intention, and your values. Those are things no one can take from you. One of the hardest things to do in this world is hold your head high when you feel behind, but that's exactly when you need to. That's when your character is tested. Can you still act with integrity when the results aren't showing up yet? Can you stay disciplined when you feel overlooked? Can you keep building when no one's praising you? If the answer is yes, then you've already won something more valuable than money. You've earned your own respect, and that's the kind of success no one can measure or steal. You are not what you earn. You are what you keep doing when things get tough. You are what you think when nobody believes in you. You are how you respond when you lose. You are how you act when you win. That's your real currency. That's your real worth. And the better you understand that, the freer you become. Because now your emotions don't depend on outside approval. Now you can focus on growth without tying your peace to outcomes. Now you can keep building without needing praise to feel powerful. So many people burn themselves out trying to feel worthy. They work non-stop not because they love it, but because they're afraid of what silence feels like. They're scared of sitting still because then they'll have to face themselves. But peace doesn't come from escaping. It comes from learning to sit with yourself and still feel proud. It comes from knowing that even when you're not producing, you're still valuable. Even when you rest, your worth doesn't drop. Even when things slow down, your character remains strong. The truth is, you're enough before the world pays you for it. You're enough when you're learning. You're enough when you're rebuilding. You're enough even when the numbers don't reflect your effort yet. But that truth only becomes real when you stop looking at money as proof of value and start seeing it as a tool for impact. When you treat yourself with respect regardless of your income, you become more powerful. You walk differently. You speak differently. You take action from strength, not insecurity. This is how people build true success. Not just wealth, but peace. Not just results, but identity. They don't chase approval. They build alignment. They don't perform for validation. They move with vision. And they don't measure themselves by numbers. They measure themselves by how consistent they are with their values. You need to make a decision today, a real one. You decide that your worth is no longer tied to your income. That means you keep your standards high even when your results are low. That means you stop treating yourself like you're behind. That means you talk to yourself with the same belief you'd give to someone you love. Because you don't grow by tearing yourself down. You grow by choosing better, thinking clearer, and treating yourself like someone who matters. Don't wait until the world notices you to respect yourself. Respect yourself now. Build from that place. And when the results come, and they will, you won't be shocked. You'll be ready. Not just financially, but emotionally. Because you didn't let the world decide who you are. You decided first. And that decision changed everything. Number 7, say no to people who lower your ambition. It's one of the most important and difficult things you'll ever do if you're serious about growth. Most people never reach their full potential, not because they're lazy, not because they lack talent, but because they keep the wrong voices around them. Voices that laugh at their goals. Voices that question their progress. Voices that remind them of who they used to be instead of who they're trying to become. And over time, those voices start to sound normal. They start to feel familiar. But just because something feels familiar doesn't mean it's right for your future. When someone constantly lowers your ambition, it's not always loud. Sometimes it's a joke at the wrong time. Sometimes it's a subtle remark that makes you second-guess your drive. Sometimes it's a lack of support, a lack of belief, or even silence when you're trying to build something meaningful. That's how ambition dies. Not always through direct criticism, but through constant exposure to small thinking. The longer you stay around it, the more you start to shrink. Not all at once, but slowly, mentally, emotionally. You begin to adjust your goals to avoid judgment. You hold back your ideas because you're tired of being misunderstood. You start to doubt whether it's even worth it. That's what happens when you don't protect your mental space. You can't afford to let people drain your vision. If someone always finds a problem in your passion, you need distance. If they make you feel guilty for working on yourself, you need boundaries. If they mock the way you think, the way you speak, the way you grow, you don't argue. You don't try to convince them. You just choose a different path. Because wasting time explaining your ambition to someone who doesn't want to grow is like pouring water into a bucket with holes. It goes nowhere, and you end up empty. People who lower your ambition aren't always bad people. Some of them mean well. Some of them are scared. Some of them have lived their whole lives avoiding risk, and your growth reminds them of everything they never did. So instead of facing themselves, they project that fear onto you. And if you're not careful, you'll take on their fear as your truth. You'll start to believe their doubts. You'll live their limits. And you'll wake up one day wondering why you never became who you knew you could be. You don't need everyone to support your vision. You don't need approval. You need alignment. You need people who believe in moving forward, who speak with purpose, who respect progress. You need people who don't get uncomfortable when you're trying to level up. People who don't water down your excitement. People who don't turn your ambition into a joke. When you find those people, protect them. But when someone shows you they're not built for where you're going, believe them and let them stay where they are. Saying no to people who lower your ambition doesn't make you rude. It makes you responsible. You are responsible for what you allow to influence you. That includes conversations, relationships, and environments. If you keep entertaining people who pull you backward, don't be surprised when you stop moving forward. Don't be surprised when you lose your focus, when your drive weakens, when your dreams start to feel distant. That's the cost of keeping the wrong energy around you, and the price is too high. Real progress requires separation. You have to separate yourself from people who don't take their own lives seriously, from people who gossip, complain, criticize, and never change, from people who talk more than they act, from people who want company more than they want clarity. Growth is uncomfortable. It will create tension. It will create distance. It will make you feel like you're being selfish, but protecting your future is not selfish. It's necessary. You can't build your best life while being loyal to what holds you back. When someone brings up your past every time you try to move forward, it's time to create space. When they dismiss your progress or call your goals unrealistic, it's time to step away. When you leave a conversation feeling smaller, heavier, or confused about your direction, that's your signal. Pay attention to how you feel around certain people. Your energy doesn't lie. If they drain you, distract you, or downgrade your mindset, say no. No is a full sentence. You don't need to defend your decisions to people who aren't responsible for your results. You don't need to lower your tone to make others comfortable. You don't need to stay available to people who don't respect your mission. You can be kind without being weak. You can be respectful without staying stuck. Saying no doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about your life not to waste it on opinions that don't help you grow. If someone only shows up when they want to vent, when they want to distract you, when they want to complain about things they refuse to change, pay attention. That's not a friendship. That's not support. That's noise, and noise kills focus. You can't stay sharp if you're always surrounded by emotional chaos. You can't stay driven if your environment is filled with people who have already given up on their own dreams. At some point, you have to choose. Do you want comfort or do you want growth? Do you want company or do you want clarity? Do you want to stay liked or do you want to become who you're meant to be? Because the truth is, the higher you go, the smaller your circle gets. Not because you're better than anyone, but because you're finally serious about protecting what matters. Your future needs protection. Your ambition needs defense. Your mindset needs space. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Not everyone has the right to influence your thinking. And not everyone who started with you is meant to finish with you. Say no to anyone who makes you question your purpose. Say no to anyone who makes you feel like your goals are too much. Say no to anyone who wastes your time, drains your focus, or disrespects your path. Say no, not out of anger, but out of clarity. Your ambition is not a game. It's not entertainment. It's your future. It's your impact. It's your legacy. And if someone doesn't take that seriously, they don't belong in the room. You have work to do. You have ground to cover. You have a life to build, and you don't need anyone standing in the way of that. Keep your circle clean. Keep your vision sharp. Keep your energy protected. Say no to anything and anyone that makes you doubt how far you can go. Because you can go far, but not if you're dragging people who want to stay stuck. Let them go. Choose growth and keep moving forward. Number 8, choose beliefs that support your long-term confidence. Most people don't realize how much their daily thinking shapes the way they feel about themselves. Confidence doesn't just come from success. It comes from believing in things that keep you steady. when success hasn't shown up yet. You can't depend on quick wins to feel strong inside. You have to choose beliefs that keep you grounded, focused, and clear, even when things move slowly. The way you think about yourself when no one's watching will either build your confidence or destroy it piece by piece. If your beliefs are weak, no result will feel like enough. If your beliefs are strong, even small steps forward will feel like progress. Beliefs are not just ideas, they are decisions, and those decisions guide everything you do. They guide how you respond to pressure. They guide how you talk to yourself when things go wrong. They guide how much effort you put in, even when nobody is clapping. Some people believe they always fall short. Some people believe they never get it right. Some people believe other people are just luckier. And the more they believe that, the more their actions reflect that mindset. It's not the world that holds them back. It's the quiet story they repeat in their mind. And if you never question that story, it becomes your reality. If you want to build lasting confidence, you have to build your beliefs on truth, not emotion. Your emotions can change with your mood. One bad conversation can make you feel like a failure. One small mistake can make you doubt everything you've done right. But a strong belief keeps you from falling apart over small setbacks. When you believe you're learning, you don't see mistakes as personal. When you believe you're improving, you don't panic when progress slows down. When you believe you're capable, you don't quit just because something feels hard. That's real confidence. Not loud, not perfect, just steady and built on purpose. You have to choose beliefs that work in your favor. Beliefs that push you to try again. Beliefs that remind you you're allowed to grow. Beliefs that help you act with strength instead of fear. That kind of belief system doesn't appear on its own. You build it. You decide which thoughts are allowed to stay. You decide which ones get removed. Every time you say, "I never get it right," you're voting for the version of yourself that gives up. Every time you say, "I can figure this out," you're voting for the version that gets better. And those small votes build your identity. Confidence isn't about being loud or having all the answers. It's about knowing you can handle whatever comes next. That only happens when you have beliefs that support your long-term vision. Beliefs that don't collapse under pressure. Beliefs that don't need validation to feel real. You don't build that overnight. You build it every time you talk to yourself with honesty and strength, instead of panic and drama. You build it when you catch a weak thought and say, "That's not me anymore." You build it when you stop asking for someone else to confirm what you already know. The reason so many people feel stuck is because they've built confidence on things they can't control. They feel good only when people approve. They feel strong only when they're winning. But when the applause stops or the results slow down, they fall apart. You can't afford to build your confidence on things that shift. You have to build it on something solid, on your values, on your habits, on your decisions. That's what stays with you even in quiet seasons. Start choosing beliefs that make you take action. Beliefs that push you to stay disciplined. Beliefs that say, "Even if it takes longer than I thought, I'll still get there." Beliefs that remind you that falling isn't the end unless you stay down. Your life will always move in the direction of your strongest belief. And if that belief is built on doubt or fear, that's the direction you'll follow. But if your belief is built on growth, effort, learning, and responsibility, your future will reflect that. You need to understand that your beliefs are not permanent unless you let them be. You can replace a belief that's hurting you. You can challenge an idea that makes you feel small. You can change the way you talk to yourself. It won't feel easy. It won't feel automatic, but it will feel like freedom. Because now your mind becomes a place that supports your mission instead of fighting against it. That inner shift is what changes everything. It's easy to repeat the beliefs you've heard your whole life. Maybe someone told you not to aim too high. Maybe they told you success was for other people. Maybe they told you to play it safe. And maybe you listened for too long. But now it's your job to question those beliefs. Ask yourself, is this helping me move forward? Or is it keeping me where I've always been? If it's not helping, you remove it. You stop defending it. You stop making excuses for it. And you replace it with something better. Start building beliefs like, "I can improve with effort." Build beliefs like, "My past doesn't define my future." Build beliefs like, "I'm capable of more than I've shown." These are not just phrases, they are tools. They keep your mind focused on growth. They keep you from falling into old patterns. They give you the strength to keep going when things get quiet, boring, or difficult. Don't wait for success to feel confident. Choose to believe in yourself before the results show up. That's what separates those who grow from those who wait. You can't wait for the world to tell you you're good enough. You have to tell yourself first. And then you prove it with how you live. You show up. You commit. You stay focused. You move forward, whether or not anyone's watching. At the end of the day, your mindset is your responsibility. Nobody else can clean it up for you. Nobody else can install stronger beliefs. You have to do that work. You have to pay attention to your thoughts. You have to stop repeating things that make you feel weak, and you have to feed the thoughts that make you feel clear, strong, and focused. This isn't motivation. It's mental discipline. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. Your beliefs will either build your future or block it. They will either lift you up or weigh you down. You have to decide what kind of life you're building, and then choose beliefs that match that decision. Every belief you choose is either a step forward or a step back. Make the decision that every belief you hold must support your long-term confidence. If it doesn't belong. Be ruthless about that. Be serious about protecting your mindset, because nothing grows well in a weak mental environment. Clean it up, strengthen it, guard it, and watch your confidence rise. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger where it matters most, in your mind. Number 9. Drop the guilt you feel for wanting more. You don't owe anyone an apology for having ambition. You don't need to explain why you're not satisfied staying where you are. Wanting more doesn't make you greedy. It doesn't make you ungrateful. It makes you honest. It means you can see something greater for your life, and you're willing to work for it. Somewhere along the way, people started associating ambition with selfishness. They made it seem like wanting more automatically means you're rejecting what you already have. That's not true. You can be thankful and still want to grow. You can appreciate your current life and still feel called to build something bigger. Growth doesn't come from guilt. It comes from clarity. And the moment you stop feeling bad for wanting more, you free yourself to actually go after it. There's a difference between complaining and craving change. Complaining is passive. It means you want things to shift without doing anything about it. But craving change, real change, that's responsibility. That's ownership. That's you saying, I see where I am and I'm ready to take it higher. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's what separates people who create new futures from those who repeat old cycles. The people who change their lives don't sit around apologizing for their goals. They pursue them with quiet confidence. They protect their vision, and they don't let guilt slow them down. The guilt you feel for wanting more usually doesn't come from you. It comes from voices around you. Voices that say, you should just be happy with what you have. Voices that say, people would love to be in your position. And while those statements may carry some truth, they are also loaded with limitation. They come from a mindset that believes growth should have a ceiling. But growth doesn't have to stop just because you've reached a point others are okay with. What you feel called to do is between you and your future. No one else has to understand it, and no one else has the right to shame you for it. People who haven't grown past their own fears will often try to convince you that wanting more is wrong. They'll say you're being too ambitious. They'll say you're changing. They'll say you've forgotten your roots. But what they really mean is, you're moving in a direction I'm not willing to go. Don't let their fear become your burden. Don't let their small thinking become your standard. You're not responsible for making other people comfortable with your growth. You're responsible for honoring the pull inside you to do more with your life. Guilt is a heavy emotion, and when it's tied to ambition, it can make you hesitate. You start second-guessing your next move. You start wondering if you're being selfish. You start playing small just to keep peace with people who never had big goals to begin with. And before you know it, you've spent another year trying not to offend anyone, trying not to outgrow anyone, trying not to shine too brightly in a world that praises quiet suffering. That's no way to live. That's not strength. That's emotional survival. You were not born to shrink. Wanting more means you've outgrown the current level. That's natural. It doesn't mean your current level was bad. It just means you're not done. It means you've got more inside you. It means there's still work to be done, skills to sharpen, impact to make. If you keep apologizing for that, you'll never step into your full power. You'll always look over your shoulder. You'll always wait for approval. And the more you wait, the more your confidence fades. There's no pride in playing small to make others feel okay. There's no integrity in ignoring your vision just to avoid uncomfortable conversations. Some people won't understand your choices. Some people will call you too intense, too focused, too driven. That's fine. You're not living their life. You're building yours. And the people who belong in your life will not make you feel guilty for growing. They'll cheer you on. They'll respect your effort. They'll admire your consistency. Keep those people close. As for the rest, you can still be kind, but you don't owe them your silence. Success starts with giving yourself permission to want more without guilt. That means you stop justifying your goals. That means you stop watering down your language. That means you stop explaining yourself to people who aren't even listening. You show up, you get clear, you do the work, you trust your vision, and you build a life that feels right for you, not one that fits everyone else's comfort zone. This doesn't mean you become cold or selfish. It means you stop betraying yourself. You stop living a version of life that feels safe but empty. You stop agreeing with people just to avoid confrontation. And you start trusting that your desire for more is not a flaw, It's a sign. It's a signal that you're ready for something deeper, something bigger, something more meaningful, and that deserves your respect, not your guilt. If you feel stuck between your goals and your guilt, choose your goals. Guilt won't move your life forward. Guilt won't pay the price for your growth. Guilt won't be there in the early mornings or the late nights when you're building. But your goals will. Your future will. Your progress will. Choose that. Train your mind to believe that wanting more doesn't make you ungrateful. You can love your current life and still aim higher. You can appreciate what you've built and still push yourself. Growth isn't a rejection of the present. It's a commitment to becoming the best version of you, and that version deserves a chance to live. But it won't happen if you keep silencing yourself out of fear of judgment. You have one life. Don't waste it staying stuck in guilt that was never yours to carry. Don't wait for the world to give you permission to dream bigger. Don't hold back your ambition just because it makes someone else uncomfortable. If your dream feels right to you, if your growth excites you, if your progress makes you feel alive, follow it without guilt, without hesitation, without apology. Wanting more is not the problem. Holding it back is. So take a deep breath. Stop explaining yourself. Start building. Start choosing. Start growing. And every time guilt tries to creep in, remind yourself that the future you're building is worth it. You're not asking for too much. You're simply refusing to stay small. And that's not something to feel bad about. That's something to feel proud of. Keep going. Your future is waiting on the other side of your permission. Give it, and don't look back. Number 10. Act different, even if no one understands you yet. You don't need everyone to agree with you before you start making real changes in your life. Waiting for approval will keep you stuck. Most people won't get it. Not because they're bad people, but because they're used to who you've been, not who you're becoming. And when you start acting differently, more focused, more disciplined, more intentional, it's going to make people uncomfortable. They're going to question you. They're going to think you're acting strange. They're going to laugh, doubt, or criticize. But that's not your problem to solve. That's their limit, not yours. You have to learn to keep moving, even when your new habits, your new energy, and your new mindset don't make sense to the people around you. This is where most people quit. They start doing the right things, but the reaction they get isn't what they expected. Instead of support, they get silence. Instead of encouragement, they get sarcasm. Instead of recognition, they get resistance. And if you're not solid in your decision, that reaction can shake you. You start questioning your progress. You wonder if maybe you should slow down, blend in, return to what's familiar, but you can't grow and stay comfortable at the same time. If your life is going to improve, your behavior has to change, and that means doing things differently before people see the results. They won't see the vision, but you have to. They won't feel the urgency, but you must. Acting different means you stop explaining every choice. You stop defending your standards. You stop needing everyone to clap when you raise your expectations. You eat better, even if your friends keep joking about it. You wake up early, even if people call it obsessive. You train your mind, even if others think it's unnecessary. You work on your craft, even if no one sees the value yet. Because what they don't understand now, they'll respect later, if you stay consistent. Respect always follows results, but you have to build the results in silence first. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your personal growth. If they ask why you're acting different, let them. If they question your new habits, let them. If they say you've changed, say, yes, I have, because you're not here to stay the same. You're not here to fit in. You're here to evolve. That means doing the hard work when it's inconvenient, when it's awkward, and when it goes unnoticed. You don't act different because it's popular. You do it because it's necessary. That's what real discipline looks like. That's what separates someone who's ready to level up from someone who just wants to talk about it. The truth is, people don't always understand change until it starts to benefit them. They won't get why you're saying no to certain things now. They won't get why you're less available. They won't get why you spend more time in books than in gossip. But later, when you're more focused, more successful, more peaceful, those same people will wonder how you did it. And the answer will be simple. You acted different when it counted. You acted different when it was uncomfortable. You acted different when it looked strange. And because of that, your life changed. You can't keep waiting for people to catch up. And that's okay. Growth isn't a group activity. You don't have to drag people with you. You just have to lead yourself. You don't need a crowd to validate your direction. You need a mindset that refuses to go backward just to make others feel comfortable. That's how you protect your future. That's how you respect your potential. You move forward even when it feels lonely. You act with conviction even when no one sees your progress. And you stay locked in because you know exactly why you started. Acting different doesn't mean you're better than anyone. It means you're finally serious about your own life. It means you're tired of repeating the same habits, the same cycles, the same results. It means you're done settling. You want more, and you're willing to act like it, even when it's hard, even when it doesn't make sense to others. Because it makes sense to you. It aligns with your goals, and that's all that matters. You have to remind yourself daily that change looks strange at first. The first time you say no to an old habit, it will feel unnatural. The first time you prioritize your time over someone else's comfort, it will feel selfish. The first time you walk away from people who keep you small, it will feel heavy. But stay with it. That discomfort means you're in motion. That resistance means you're growing. And nothing meaningful happens without that kind of pressure. Don't water down your progress to make other people more comfortable. Don't pretend you don't care just to fit in with people who've stopped trying. Don't shrink yourself just to avoid being misunderstood. Be okay with not being liked by everyone. Be okay with being different. Be okay with outgrowing conversations, routines, and environments, because the only thing worse than being misunderstood is staying stuck just to avoid it. The people who matter won't be offended by your growth. They'll be inspired by it. And the ones who aren't, you don't need their approval. You must start acting like the person you want to become long before anyone sees it. You must carry yourself with the confidence of someone who knows where they're going, even if no one else believes in it yet. You train, you learn, you improve, and you do it consistently, not for show, not for likes, but because it's who you've decided to become. And you honor that decision through action, not words, not promises, not announcements, just action, every day, without fail. One day, the same people who didn't understand you will ask for your help. They'll ask how you stayed disciplined. They'll ask what changed. And the answer will be, you changed. You took yourself seriously. You acted different when it was easier to act normal. You focused when others were distracted. You stayed in your lane when everyone else was trying to fit in. And because of that, you created a different life. Don't wait for people to cheer you on before you start. Most won't, but your future will. Your future is waiting on the other side of your courage. Your future is waiting for the moment you stop asking for understanding and start demanding results from yourself. So act different, stay different, and keep moving in the direction that feels right, even if it feels lonely. The right people will find you. The results will come. And you'll know deep down, it all started because you had the guts to act different before anyone understood why. If you truly want to live a better life, start with better thinking. An abundance mindset isn't a luxury, it's a decision. It's a daily commitment to stop thinking small and start believing you deserve more, not just in income, but in impact, growth, and purpose. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't wait for people to agree. Start now. Build the mindset that matches the life you want, because once your thinking changes, everything around you begins to shift. Stay consistent, stay focused, and remember, your future grows in the direction of your thoughts. Choose them wisely. Your life depends on it.